Okay, hi everyone, welcome. And today it's our first episode of Live Art. I'm so happy to announce that this is a new partnership. I have Özgün here from Sanata Başla Start Art. Um, and we will be talking about different artists each week. Not each week, sorry. Maybe each month, every 2 weeks. We haven't decided yet, but it's going to be a series for sure. And we will try to talk about a famous artist and masterpieces of these artists, our favorite pieces of these artists, and we will discuss why did we choose those and what do we see in those art pieces. It's going to be very casual. It's going to be very nice, fun, artsy chat that we will have regularly from now on. And we would like to just briefly introduce ourselves. And I'll start as I'm talking already. My name is Ece Gurler. As you know, I am the owner of Ece Gurler Art. We are both with Özgün YouTubers also. And our passion, this common passion is art. And also, you can see our YouTube and Instagram handles on the screen. So if you want to follow us, you're more than welcome. I've been an artist since 2017, but I started my own business during the pandemic 2020, and I've been trying to teach art and I'm trying to coach artists to start their online businesses. Now it's your turn. Özgen, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes, thanks Ece. Özgün Yılmazok here. I am the owner and the creator of Start Art, or in Turkish name Sanata Başla. That's been a website that I started writing about art pieces 10 years ago almost. Now I have a YouTube channel and an Instagram account. So if you want to find out more about paintings and art history, then you can search Start Art or Sanata Başla on YouTube or Instagram, and you end up on my page. I'm very excited as Ece because we have been talking about doing this program for a while now, and now it has become live. And as Ece has explained, we will be talking about a painter, but two different paintings in every episode. And we start now.
Yes, perfect. So we will start with Özgen. What did you choose,
Yes.
Özgen? Which Leonardo da Vinci art did you pick today?
Yes. I think now Ece is going to show you what I have picked up for this week.
Yes, I it's on the screen.
I have actually chosen a piece that's called Virgin and the Child with Saint Anne. As you can understand from the name of the painting, that is depicting the Virgin Mary with Christ child and her mother. She's called Saint Anne. So these three characters are the main figures of the painting. In the painting, we see that Mary is holding Jesus Christ. She's actually reaching out to him. Jesus is a little child, little chubby child, we can say, with curly hair. And Jesus is also holding on to a lamb, which also has some curly woolly pelt, we can say. So it looks like Jesus in a way. He's playing with the lamb. It's very cute actually. And Mary is interestingly sitting on her mother's lap. And these figures are just forming a kind of circle, we can say, with their intimate looks to each other, because Mary looks at Jesus, Jesus looks back at Mary, the Lamb looks at Jesus, and Saint Anne is actually looking at her own child, Mary, and also her grandson, Jesus. So there's this exchange of glances, and it is a very intimate painting. That's why actually I chose this one, because it gives a really good feeling of a family, a warm atmosphere, I think, for me at least. And other than these figures, in the background, we see a very classic Leonardo da Vinci landscape, bluish, blurry mountains in the back, and some tree and some rocks. So that's what the painting is about, basically, if we have to define it.
Yeah, you defined it really well, actually. And why did you choose this?
as I say, when I look at this, I think it has a warm air to me. It has a warm atmosphere. And I really love how Leonardo da Vinci depicts the mother and child relationship, not through one generation between Mary and Jesus, but also with another generation, with Mary's mother and Mary. So you see three generations and their relationships in a single painting. And also, I think it's very interesting to place Mary, a grown woman, on top of another grown woman's lap, which is a very problematic pose, I can say. And I think Leonardo da Vinci has done this super well. And just because it doesn't disturb your eye, despite and looks like a giantess, more or
Yeah, I was
less,
gonna
but
say.
it doesn't disturb you. It's very harmonious. That's
Yeah.
why I chose this. I think it's very impressive.
Yeah, I think because the faces, when you look at the faces, of course, you don't see um, the age difference between Saint Anne and Mary, but
Not much.
like the size difference, maybe status wise, like showing that she is the mother, and obviously Mary is sitting on her lap. That gives also
Yeah.
another motherly feeling. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing also here is in this is a holy family painting, and then normally in normal cases when we see holy painting images, we generally see Jesus in the middle, sitting between maybe Mary or Joseph or Saint Anne or some other holy figure. So they just line up like this next to each other. But this time, Leonardo da Vinci puts them in a blended shape. So that is very interesting, I think, and that is what he's bringing new to the art scene, I think.
Okay. Okay.
So it's impressive in many ways. What did you choose, Ece? Can we talk about your painting?
Of course. So here is mine. I chose, by the way, before I tell you guys what I chose, I want to say that we are trying to choose very similar kind of paintings of Leonardo da Vinci because then the comparison wouldn't be fair otherwise. So if you realize that now I'm going to show you what I chose, and you're going to realize like they are actually similar types. So this was Virgin of the Child. Let's close that. And I chose Virgin of the Rocks. And what I see here is basically, let me show you the top part too. Rocks, a lot of rocks in the background. And as a geologist, I can say they look like a little bit metamorphic or igneous rocks. They're like all these spiky rocks that I'm seeing, and it's beautiful, and it's kind of a little bit, I would say, mysterious, a little bit spooky too, I could say, in the background. But then I see plants on these rocks hanging down, and then at the center, of course, like what we see is the centerpiece is Mary, and we see infant John the Baptist while she's hugging him, and you see Jesus Christ with an angel, Uriel. You know, we know she's an angel because she has the wings, and also there's a story behind it, which I'm sure you would love to tell them after I finish like what's happening in this the
Sure.
painting. And what I see also here, which I thought I saw, like in the lower part, there was like kind of a water, standing water, like lake or something. But then I'm going to show you something that is going to be a little bit interesting because there are two of these paintings actually. And that's very interesting to see both of them next to each other. Here, for example, on the back, you see sfumato also that you mentioned in the other painting because Leonardo loves doing that kind of vaporization of like the objects in the background so that they look very natural together. But before I go to the other painting, like the second version, I just want to hear the story. Like, can you tell us like what's happening here?
Yeah, it's this painting, Virgin of the Rocks, is actually an episode when Virgin Mary, her husband Joseph, and Jesus was actually running from a massacre that's been happening in Nazareth where they live. So they're from Nazareth, they go to Bethlehem, where sorry, they're actually escaping from Bethlehem
Yeah.
to Egypt to escape a massacre because the Roman emperor wants to kill all the children who was born 2 years within the last 2 years, because that is going to be the Messiah. So while they're escaping from that, on the way, an angel, Uriel, brings Saint John the Baptist, Jesus's cousin, we can say second cousin. She brings her, an angel brings Saint John the Baptist, and in this painting we see Jesus is blessing Saint John the Baptist with his hand gesture.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the
that's what the
hand.
painting is about. Yes, exactly. So and as you said, it's full of rocks. That's why we call it Virgin of the Rocks. And I think Leonardo da Vinci is very interested in depicting rocks in the background. That's something he likes very much.
Yeah, I think wasn't he one of the people who brought this nature in the background and the portrait and like front thing? Like he's one of the pioneers of that. Because I think if I don't know, I mean I might be wrong, but before everyone was kind of in their houses or in their palaces, like in a room like full of their properties, and then they started to get out and they were just showing now outside, like in the nature, or showing their property this time from outside. I don't know. uh
They do have this before Leonardo as well. I
okay.
think there are some early Renaissance paintings showing some famous people in their portraits. In the background is their properties, for example, their fields, their houses. You can see these things, yes. But I think what Leonardo brings in terms of landscape is that he just paints something very natural looking. It's possibly made up, of course, not a real landscape, but it looks very natural. It looks very well blended with the figures, as you said, with sfumato. So he just
Yeah,
makes everything really blurry after while he's painting. Maybe we can say that's much better. He just blurs everything by going through a brush on top of everything. So everything looks a little bit blurry. When you go to a museum, you can see Leonardo da Vinci paintings from a distance and identify them so easily because they are the only ones that look that blurry. So
exactly.
yeah.
So that brings me to the second point, that the second painting, because Leonardo did this between 1483 and 1486, but then the commissioner, the Confraternity of the Immaculate Conception, which is like
Uh-huh.
very long, but I remember that they kind of was dissatisfied. Something happened, and they sued actually with Da Vinci. They had some kind of this legal fight, I would say, and at the end, after 10 years, he painted it again. But then there are some rumors, because I'm going to show you why there are rumors. Here we go. I see the two of them now next to each other. So the one on the right you see is the new one. The I think it was 1508 or something like that, and the left one is the original, the premier one, the prime one, which is in Louvre Museum right now in Paris. But what I want to say is, like, there are many differences actually, and style looks very different to me. I don't know what you think, because the
Yes.
rocks, I mean, not everything is not blending each other very well as it did in the first one. The colors are much brighter for some reason. The blue, especially, I see a lot of blue everywhere. And the angel's clothing was red in the first one. Now it's blue. I don't know why would change that. But at the same time, like, you see the halos on, like, Jesus Christ, John the Baptist, and Mary. And also, John the Baptist
Are
is
different.
holding a cross.
Yes.
And I think one of the biggest differences is just the Uriel, the angel, is not pointing anymore at Saint John the Baptist. So I don't know. It's interesting why these
There are a
changes
lot
happen.
of there are some explanations actually for the first one. You do not see the halos and you do not see the cross in the hands of Saint John the Baptist, because these things were added by another painter later on the second painting. So the church wanted to distinguish the figure of Saint John the Baptist and Jesus. Which one is which? Because they are two babies and the ages are very close. So they wanted to distinguish. That's why they placed the small cross, which is a symbol of Saint John the Baptist, in Saint John the Baptist's hands. And they wanted these halos to be visible. So they were added by another painter years later. So that's why the difference. But in terms of style, as you said, the first one looks as if the sfumato technique is much better looking, while the second one looks really bright colored, much cleaner surface. So it doesn't
Yeah,
look like as if they came out from the hands of the same painter. That's
exactly.
why I think, as far as I know, the first one is believed to be from the hands of Leonardo da Vinci 100%, while the second one is thought to have started by Leonardo da Vinci, but some other people have also took part in finishing that. So there's some debate
Maybe
on this, of course,
apprentices.
but
Yeah, yeah,
could be
yeah.
that.
And one thing that about the second one, which is the newest one, they say that actually there's a picture of it. Let me show that too. I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay, so here, apparently there were like two other versions of this painting, the new one, and by just looking at them with x-ray or just whatever technique they have,
X-ray.
they found out the previous versions of this painting, which is very interesting. In the first painting they didn't find any, so maybe that kind of proves more that maybe this wasn't Leonardo or solely Leonardo, and he was just maybe trying to work with others on this.
Could be that, or maybe, I mean, Leonardo is one of these people who was interested in so many different subjects at the same time, and he kept on leaving things unfinished. He has
Hi,
a lot of unfinished.
exactly. Because our both photos are
So
unfinished, right?
yes, I think so. I mean, at least mine is unfinished. That I know. The one I chose is unfinished,
Yeah.
and possibly the one you chose, the first one, could be also unfinished. I'm not sure, but mine is definitely thought to be unfinished. So he has so few paintings that he left behind, and many of them are unfinished. He kept on being in trouble, as you explained, with the authorities, with the commissioners, because he didn't finish them on time. He didn't do them as they wanted, because there are contracts written
Yeah.
to
Actually,
to, to commission those, and he doesn't obey those contracts. He doesn't
yeah.
comply with them.
I have a story about this. Do you know like he got this commission for the grand sculpture, the horse, for I think Francesco Sforza. Then that time he was gonna do this 16 feet tall sculpture, like bronze horse sculpture, but he worked on it for 12 years.
Yes,
And
yes.
once he kind of finished like the basics of it, like the skeleton of it, before they poured the bronze on it, the war broke. So they had to use all the bronzes for the weapon making. So they couldn't even create the sculpture anymore. So that 12 years went to trash. I think that's hilarious. And you know what
They
happened?
smelted it. Yeah,
Yeah, and the rumor has it Michelangelo really didn't like Da Vinci, so he was kind of envy of him. And
very much.
in the courtyard and palace, one time they say that Michelangelo told Da Vinci that you couldn't even finish a sculpture in 12 years, and trying to like kind of look cooler than him, I guess. Like I'm more hardworking and you're not, and how come you look better than me or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know.
There
Michelangelo
is
was
some
something.
certain there is some certain rivalry between the two, and I think we have a lot of different stories about this. How much
Yeah.
plausible, that I don't know, but still, yeah, there is a lot of
Yeah.
things. Some more gossip on this, yes, for sure.
So tell us about a little bit the time. Like the time period, like how can we
Yes.
identify if we see these
Uh,
paintings in a museum, like, oh, this is this period, you know?
Yes, these both of these paintings are from Renaissance, because Leonardo is a Renaissance painter. But the first one is a little bit earlier. The one you chose, the earlier version, is from 1483 to 86, I think. So it's slightly earlier than what we call High Renaissance, which starts around 1500. So that can still be considered early Renaissance because Leonardo lived during that period from early Renaissance to high Renaissance with that switch between the two. But in general, they display the properties of Renaissance. First thing is it's very symmetrical, very balanced, and very much drawing based, line based. So the figures are very much arranged in certain poses. They are very idealized. And they got inspired by mostly from Greek Roman sculptures. So they look very
Ah.
sculptural. That is what Renaissance does. Looks back to Greek Roman art and just brings all these figures from that time. So it's very idealized figures. And I think the second one is Renaissance is very symmetrical, very balanced, very mathematical. So in both paintings, we see there's a pyramidal composition. So all the figures fit in a pyramid in all of the three paintings we chose today. I mean, two paintings, but
Yeah. Like if people don't see it, like it starts from San Anne, like on the photo right now, like I'm doing yours,
yes.
and then it goes down like a pyramid. And let's look at mine if we can find it too. It's very cool, I think. Virgin of
And
the Rocks. Yeah.
in yours, I think there are several pyramids even, Ece. The one
Um,
starting with Mary's head and going down is a pyramid, big pyramid, but there's a small pyramid. Saint John the Baptist is a small pyramid, and Angel and Jesus are again two small pyramids more.
oh
So it's
wow.
three pyramids fit in a single one big pyramid. So it's all about mathematics. It's all about geometrical design and harmony in
But
Renaissance.
did they know this when they were making these paintings? I wonder. Of just like,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely, huh?
Yeah, the painter designed like this because there's a lot of mathematical work behind these things. There's something called the golden ratio, so it's applied as well. So many technical details, but still, the painters design it on purpose to make it as more harmonious as possible to the eye. That's the whole
Wow.
deal with Renaissance.
What happened then? Why are we not
Those old times.
I know. So,
Yes.
so that's the Renaissance. That's great. Like that's good to know about the period too, because then I like Da Vinci works, and I can see now commonalities as you say things. Like I'm just like, oh, this painting has that too. It just makes more sense.
Yes.
And I just want to give fun facts about Leonardo before we finish too, or if you want
Yeah.
to talk about more too.
Do that. That's the fun. No, no, that's the
Yeah.
fun part. Go on.
So did you know Da Vinci had 17 half siblings?
Oh,
He had a very busy father. But then, speaking of his father, I think his biggest support was his father because he really wanted him to get into painting. And I think he wanted to, at the age of 10, he gave him to this apprentice so that he can improve his art. But then after those sodomy charges, they stopped talking, which is very sad. But anyway,
uh-huh.
he was homeschooled, and until 30 years old, he did not know any advanced knowledge of mathematics, and he is one of the best engineers that we know to the date. So that's interesting. Never give up, guys, as you can see. You have still
Exactly.
time.
Leonardo is a hard worker for sure.
He definitely. I mean, they say that he probably opened up like 30 dead bodies in his lifetime and studied every inch of this anatomy, like the muscles, the veins, the organ, like everything. It's just
And
amazing.
he did them in secret. That's also something because the Catholic Church does not let people open up corpses. So it's impossible. He did everything in secret. Both Michelangelo and Leonardo did all those anatomy things, all these working with cadavers. They just did everything in secret. If they get caught, that's illegal.
Then can we call them brave in this case? I think it's
I
pretty
think
brave.
brave and curious, I think
Yeah,
we should call them.
curiosity. Kill the cat.
Yes.
But not Leonardo. So that's
Not
good.
him. Not him. That's good, yes. So I think we have covered both
Yeah.
paintings today.
Yeah, it was very nice. Thank you. It was great to know. I think I we hope that, of course, our audience liked what we showed too in general. But this was the two pieces that we picked for you. But we want to know, guys, like, what would you prefer us to cover? Like, what artists do you want to see? What kind of art do you want to see? If you have any opinions, please share in the comments. Or Özgün, do you wish them to say anything else to us? Like maybe,
No, I think that's a good idea because I mean, tell us what you want to see here next time. Which artist we should focus on, or is it a specific genre of painting that you want to see so we can compare to different pieces from the same genre, for example, or from a certain period, or from a certain artist? We are quite flexible. We started by choosing an artist now, but
yeah,
we can shape things up depending on the
yeah.
demand, I
Exactly,
say.
exactly. So it's our common point. We just would like to make sure that, um, you know, we increase the motivation in art, your curiosity in art and fine art. So we'll see. We are so excited to have our fun talk next time, and we
Yes.
will let you know on Instagram. Please follow us. Please follow Sanata Bashla. It's you can see on the screen. And again, my Instagram account is Ece Gurler Art. And we will be again announcing our next live session both on Instagram
Yes.
and also YouTube, hopefully next time. Until then, we will see you. Bye.